Hey all, good evening. Welcome to the T-Log. It is, what is it? Thursday the 17th. My watch is just about to change over to the next date. That's how late it is. It is Thursday, 17th of July. And thanks for the activity yesterday on the blog and on YouTube. It's good to see people starting to sort of watch the videos now. Only little numbers, but appreciated, as I think every content creator will say. I know I do repeat that several times when I do these things, but it is greatly appreciated. Don't forget, I'm going to keep plugging this all week. Weekend test. Go check that out. Make sure you sign up for Sunday 20th and participate in that online conference with other European testers. As always, it's about the testing community, isn't it? And one thing that I lifted out was on the Testing Circus site about submitting an article. This month's theme, or in fact next month's, but the one to write for now, is on security testing. And security testing, web security, SQL injection, penetration testing. And whenever security testing / penetration testing is described, it gets my attention straight away. One of the things that I have been mindful of throughout my career is, and I mentioned this in one of the other T-logs, you can check back and have a look at this, is about the vocabulary that we use meaning specific things, and with those specific meanings leading us to a greater understanding of the testing domain, the testing profession. And penetration testing is one of those areas. Security testing proper. So for me, security testing is the catch-all. It's a bit like saying performance testing, and immediately an informed tester is going to say, but what type of security testing, what type of performance testing? And security testing for me breaks down into, in fact, just sneakily in the background there, just putting some items together, because I'm going to submit a paper to Testing Circus. I'll talk about that in a second. But for me, so-called security testing, in the middle here would be security testing. Obviously I'm using Microsoft Paint, my trusty tool. It breaks down into these different types of testing services, should we call them, or testing types. And penetration testing is just one type. Now, the context of the paper will be to say, that when people talk about security testing, talk about penetration testing, in fact the key is there, one and the same. It's security testing, we need pen testing. And I've said this before, that most clients don't want penetration testing, because the idea is that in penetration testing you actively exploit weaknesses in the software and cause a change to the software, the system, the underlying systems, etc., the database, the web server, whatever it is, to see what the effects of that vulnerability are. And most people, in fact, I would say, want a vulnerability assessment. They want you to tell them, again, against some common agreed definition of what vulnerable means, how vulnerable is their web application, their desktop application, etc. I think most of them are web applications these days, aren't they? Most things, certainly the stuff I work with. And that, another service that can be offered is patch auditing. And patch auditing is, it happens all the time on our systems. You log your computer on and a little message pops up at the bottom saying, hey, there are updates, hey, there are security updates to install from Microsoft. And so that is, I'll tweak that later, that is patch auditing, and that is part of security. And does it often get done? Does it often get talked about? No, because we only talk about pen testing. And likewise with compliance auditing. I was putting compliance standards together here, and I stopped at those, because there are so many. I think one of the key ones, again, that every organisation will deal with are their internal standards. So you might want to, you're working from home and you go to remote login to a system, and it says, hey, we've just ran almost a live compliance audit on your system, and your antivirus software or the security patches on your system are not up to date, you can't log in. Right? And so there'll be these internal standards that are being adhered to, validated my compliance auditing. And this is all security testing. So we'll write the words, I don't see it on here, but we'll write the word security testing in the middle here, and that will be the security testing life cycle or something like that. We'll give it some clever name. This will be the basis of the paper, and what I will do is break down each of these different security testing types into what I think they are, why do they exist, why would we do them, what are we trying to achieve with each of these, and maybe again, if we're talking about life cycles, put some steps in place. So how do we start and end penetration testing, vulnerability assessments, etc. And in fact, I know a few tools for vulnerability assessments. There are some good ones out in the market. One of them, I'm just thinking of Tenable Nessus, is, I think it's still free. I think there's a home version which is interesting. Obviously there's a corporate version as well. I'll check their website. I did their exam probably about 2 years ago now, so I'd need to check for accuracy. But point is, I am putting together an article for Testing Circus as part of their August edition on security related matters, and so do look out for that. When it gets published in August, I'll obviously mention it in the blog here, and as always, I encourage you to write an article yourself. Don't be shy about what you do or don't know. I'm just trying to think now. In fact, if we go to just trying to think, just as an example of, let's see, I think there's one on here. Oh, I suppose I should prepare this. Here we are, testing software security. So, a while ago I did an overview of what I thought was involved in testing software security. So this is, in the papers section of the main website. So you could always have a look at that. And when you look at this, you'll see it's very lightweight and it's very textbook. That's fine, right? Because that's all I knew at the time. Now, when you see this paper, I hope you will agree my understanding has moved on somewhat. And so when there's the opportunity to submit articles like this, I encourage you strongly to do so. In fact, again, on the profile, if we skip back, I've stopped putting references to work I do here, but he says trying to look. So making requests for additional staff back in 2008 there was the first paper I wrote and publicly published, and it's okay. It's it's interesting stuff, but I wouldn't say it's my best work, right? I wouldn't publish something like this now. But, and I'm coming on to something else about learning, by the way. Here's why I'm rambling about submitting articles. I obviously want you to know about my paper that I'm going to put in, but the article I'll put in. But I wanted to encourage you to write articles, and places like Sticky Minds, places like the Testing Circus are great places to put your articles on, or your own blog, etc. Now, if you don't have a blog, or you're nervous about posting, I call them papers. I usually refer to them as discussion documents, which are really, for me, long blog posts that you just think, well, people will be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It's like 7 pages long. Well, wrap it up into a paper, and that's a lot of what this site is about. These are longer pieces. I think these are, I know these are like 12 and 7 pages long. You can't put that in a blog post. Don't be shy about doing that, either on your own blog, right, or in a paper, or in article submission opportunities like these. If you wish to, and I've always had this this offer open, if you wish to, send me an email, and you can go to the main website. Oh, hang on. No, you can go to the blog, and you can hit the email button here, and you'll see, no doubt, excuse me, I'm pointing at the screen. Oops, that doesn't work if I move my mouse. If you look bottom left here at the screen, you can see me on camera, can't you? In the status bar at the bottom of the browser, you'll see my email address there. Most of you will probably have it anyway. And drop me a mail, and say, hey, why don't we, I've written a paper, would you like to review? Or you want to write a paper, you want to write an article, a blog post, but maybe you need some support with that. That's fine, send it along. If you don't have a blog, then why don't we just stick it on here, right? We can stick the paper on the main website, and all of these papers, you remember, are we can put who has authored it on there, so it's not a case of me pretending I've authored it. We'll just put it on the site, brand it up, make it look nice. It's good for your CV. And likewise with the blog posts, I absolutely encourage you to, if you've got a blog post but you don't have a blog, you do have one, and it's on the Software Testing Club, by the way. All you've got to do is sign up and you get a blog. But if you'd like to associate it with this, I might have to vet the content somewhat. Feel free, email it through and I'll post it up here. Absolutely fine. I would love to do that. Let me give that as a strongly worded message. I would love to see guest blogs on the website. It is hard work to keep putting content together that's interesting, and so if you have interesting content, throw it in there. Talking about my blog, one of the things, in fact, you know what, I'm going to skip on to this in a second. So that's the article I'm going to do, and that's my little rant about why you should be writing articles. You should be writing blog posts, and if you are nervous, if it's you you're venturing into the field of doing that, then give me a shout. I'm more than happy to help you. I do a lot of travelling, so I'll sit down, I'll read it on my little machine here, and give you some feedback. If it's good, we'll put it on the site here. It's easy to do, right? So let's do that. This is your challenge. 2 people have so far. If we go back to the papers section, this one as well. So this one was with a colleague of mine, Marios, and this one was with a good friend, Tien. Right, and that's it. And every other paper I've written completely on my own here, which is ridiculous. So be sure to shout. On that theme, I wanted to talk about your continued. Sorry, I noticed that I click manically. I wanted to talk about your continued education as a tester. I think you need to read a lot, you need to practice a lot, but the other thing to do is write. I found the act of writing to be an incredibly useful way to make sure that I understood what I'd been talking about. Some of you will know, probably like 5 years ago now, I wrote 2 training courses, one on test practice and one on test management, that were used in the company I used to work with. And the very act of writing those courses was an incredible learning experience for me. I remember, and I often quote this, it was a roughly 3-week conversation on trying to define functional testing. What is functional testing? And we went right around the houses on it. Something we imagined we knew. And likewise, when I go on about penetration testing, security testing, do we understand what the subsets of those are? What the different types of security and types of performance and why they exist and how we would execute them and what we were trying to achieve out of them. And writing clearly a course where I'm meant to articulate this clearly and congruently was extremely difficult, but a fantastic thing to do. So, number 1, I encourage you to write about your experiences, even in short blog posts. I mean, let me skip on, in fact, no, I'll tell you what we'll do. I wanted to show you an article on the blog about learning and teaching by asking questions. I think it's on the main site as well. It comes up in one of the scrolling sections here. And the idea that if you don't ask questions, you don't learn. But it's some items that, if you read the blog post, you might find some useful tips there about self-directed learning, as I refer to it as, and the need for that. I remember talking to a tester. I'm trying to remember the company now. I can see his face. And we met, and the question I asked him was, "What are you reading?" Because there was a test book on his desk. I think it was Janet Gregory's, actually. And he turned around and said, "Michael Bolton." It's like, what does that even mean? You're reading Michael Bolton. What has he got? Superpowers. He's got text all over his body or something, maybe. And what he meant was, no, I'm reading the Develop Sense blog. Now, what he was doing was going through Michael Bolton's blog and using this category selector down here, was reading extensively about specific testing topics. So, for example, rapid software testing or heuristics or exploratory testing. And this is a great little feature on Michael's site where clearly if you search by this, scoot down, get the right order. I mean, again, Michael's been blogging forever, right? You get a related set of articles. And what the guy was doing was just reading Michael Bolton, reading through each of these articles by topic, by category, etc., and getting the best understanding he could of the material. And that's a fantastic thing to do. Reading extensively is very, very important. My and other blogs, in fact, if we go to Ministry of Testing, the testing feeds is a great way to have a reading list. And here is, in fact, the latest blog post that I've done. Another couple popped up here. And keep reading through. Keep reading extensively. I remember a magazine called New Scientist magazine that I don't read anymore because the print version is way too expensive. But I didn't understand a lot of what was written when I first started reading it, and now I do. Right? And likewise, if you've started to educate yourself in a particular field, security, performance, what else we got here? Could be automation, whatever it is. At first, you won't understand, but read through the blogs, read through the articles, extensively read perhaps a particular author, and build up your understanding, right? And with that understanding, then you can collate that into your own papers and blog posts and start contributing. Hit, Sticky Minds and SQA forums. Where are you? SQA forums, for example, and start contributing back, essentially. By the way, that link's broken. I tried it before. Start contributing back into the community, right? So I've just forgotten, Srivinat, I think it was, sent me a message on Twitter asking about, hey, have you got any things you can share with me because I'd like to learn. This is for you, Srivinat. That, I think, is my run for tonight, as I often go off on one about reading and your continued education, about finding someone, Michael Bolton, my blog, and others, via perhaps testing feeds, and read extensively, or simply Google a particular area that you want to read extensively on, and then produce a paper at the end of it. It's a bit like school, hey? Go away, read the textbook, write an essay summarising the main points, what you've learned, how you would apply it, and so on, and then send it to me. We'll publish it on the site. Why not, hey? And that's the story about learning. So starting from, look out for my paper when I submit it to Testing Circus, and I look forward to yours. The latest blog post that I've just written is 5 Secrets to Professional Service on Client Engagements, and this is, I wouldn't say I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve here, but this is very much one of those blog posts that you can just write because it's so ingrained in you. This is so much the way I think that it was easy to write. And the power of reading across, as you know, I'm studying psychology at the moment with the Open University, and so little things like the PCAN rule and some other little principles came in to apply. So this was I'm pleased with this article. It came out pretty well. And what I talk about here is that the fact that every day I go into a client engagement, they've entrusted me with a testing problem, a business problem, and it will ultimately, the success or failure of what I deliver will come down on the head of that manager who has hired me. And so I have an absolute moral and professional responsibility to do the best job that I can. Well, what does the best job that I can look like, both in terms of the immediate delivery and the long-term effects on that individual and my professional career? Well, this article is my attempt to describe those things. So I'm saying here, number one is to serve the client. Every day when I go in, it's not a cliche. My heart kind of reaches out, my mind reaches out to the individual, and I want to think, are they happy? Are they content with my work? Are they pleased with the work I'm doing? And if not, why not? What can I do to correct that? Are they getting it off in the pants off their boss? If so, how can I help out? Right. So that would be helping the client to succeed. Constantly looking not just at this current engagement, but what are they doing in their workplace? When I eventually finish on this engagement, are they going to look back and think, this was a great guy, he helped me succeed? Right? I've put down here, let's just skip back up, to deliver the best work you can, right to the very end. On many projects, you get past about the 6 months line, and fatigue sets in, or nonchalance, or laziness. What is it? Well, it is wrong. And every single day that you're on an engagement, as a test professional, and I use those two words together in the strongest possible way, as a test professional, you absolutely have to deliver your best work right at the start, right at the end, constantly. You never stop delivering the best that you can. And it averages out, because some of the pieces you do, you will be disappointed. I sent an email out yesterday saying, hey, this report format I'm using, not the way I don't work with this very well, please critique it harshly, right? And they did. And then I put it together in the way that I like today and just said, well, does this work better? And then, start of the week I was complimented on, in fact it was knowledge transfer management and affecting a change in the way that knowledge transfer is done on the program, in actual fact, and people saying, great piece of work. So the work that you do will go up and down, but you deliver the best you can, you do the best you can, and you admit where you can't, right? And you do it right to the very end. I'll let you read why on here. Number 4 is that the client isn't always right, but they're never wrong, right? This is a bit like a concept of, we can do requirements-based testing, and we'll go, based on the requirements-based testing that I've done, no exploratory, no additional techniques, this doesn't look wrong, this software doesn't look wrong to me, but I don't know that it's right. I would have to do exploratory, I would have to search around, I would have to do my own things, apply my own heuristics to know that this software is right. You would have to define that out for me. And this is the same idea. The client will have lots of ideas, and in context of the fact that you are there to serve them, to do what you're told to a great degree, they're never actually wrong. And I say in here, there are ways that you can coach, encourage, coerce, maybe, cajole, guide the client, and if they say no, then it's no, and so they're never wrong. I'll let you work with that definition in there. And it's never over until, well, it's never over. I mentioned in here that if this engagement continues to the end of the year, end of thereabouts, it would need to be January, I think, strictly. I haven't actively gone out and looked for work for nearly 4 years. It will be 4 years. That is because my network comes back to me and says, are you available? When is your contract ending? We've got a piece of work that I would like you to work on. I can't describe to you how humbling, flattering that is, and I think it's partly because of this stuff here. And the final one is, had fun with them sometimes. You're not there to make friends. Ooh, maybe that's controversial. You're there to build professional relationships, to develop trust, deliver consistently, and every now and then to go out for McDonald's, a curry, a couple of beers, and maybe there's a corporate do that you can lark around on as well. And then Monday you come back to the office and you're back on professional terms. And you need to build a personal level of relationship with people so that they'll want to talk to you in the future, right? That's my bonus. This is like one of those hard sales. Buy the Book of Secrets. Bonus content. That's a little talk through of this post. It's an important one to me, so I just wanted to talk through that. Now, I think in actual fact, just given where we are time-wise, I'm going to leave it there. Have a read, send me a message, and I shall see you in the next T-Log.